I'm Van Sebastian here with my co-host S.A. Baz Collins for this week's Written on the Edge Season 9, Episode 35 interview. We'll be talking with Mark Salzwedel and discussing his novel, The Miraculous Life of Rupert Rocket. So, let's get to know our guest. Mark Salzwedel is a gay performer, writer, and composer living in Brooklyn, New York, with his husband, fashion designer Jesus Soto. His science fiction and fantasy short stories have appeared in a variety of publications, and he has two novels published through the queer space imprint of Rebel Satori Press: The Lever, an LGBT sci-fi thriller published in 2022, and The Miraculous Life of Rupert Rocket, which is an epic LGBT urban fantasy published in April 2024, and it is the topic of our discussion today. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, composer, author, you're definitely a storyteller, but the work of actually putting words to paper is completely different than telling stories. Where did that passion come from to put it down?
I had an older sister. She was 2 years older. So when she was learning to read in first grade, um, she started coming home from class and teaching me at 4 to read. So
Wow.
I actually started reading when I was 4, and I started to gobble up books, and I read a lot of the books that my older sister brought home, and I started going to the library, which was a half a block away, and participated in the summer reading program there. And I started begging my mom to use her college manual typewriter, a Smith Corona metal,
Nice.
very heavy. And I learned how to type when I was 9. And I typed my first short story was a horror short story about this mysterious hole in the wall that was shaped like an old-fashioned radio. And
Really?
that's
Okay.
about all I remember about the story.
Nice. So, we are here today to discuss the miraculous life of Rupert Rocket. If I
Rocket
were to see
Man. Sorry, I had to.
So if I were to see it on a table at like a Pride event or in a bookstore and you were signing and I were to ask you what it's about, what's the elevator pitch?
uh, it's an urban fantasy about a fictional character, Rupert Rocket, whose family has been uh, cursed and blessed by Irish fairies, and
As
causes,
it happens,
as sometimes happens to us,
you know.
and the chaotic luck that he has as a result of that is part of what fuels his adventures, to the point where he's always wondering when the blessing part is going to disappear, and he's going to be subject to all of the horrible things that happen to him as a result of the curse.
hmm So let's dive into that. And just for clarity's sake, I guess, I have started the novel, so I know a little bit about the beginning. And one of the things I would like people to know is that it's a multi-generational story.
It takes place from 1942 to 2019.
Yep. So let's introduce some of the key players.
Okay, well, the first player is in the first chapter, you have been introduced to Rupert's grandmother, Zelda, who's an immigrant from Germany as a child. And she has a boyfriend in high school, Thomas, whom has a much stronger German accent than she does. And so he gets teased a lot more and bullied a lot more. And so to escape some of the bullying, he starts clinging to an Irish girl, Patricia, to try to get rid of some of the negative attention he's been getting for being a German immigrant, which was not a happy thing back in 1942 when the United States was at war with Germany. Um, so he eventually gets fed up with her moods and wants to go back to dating Zelda again. But Patricia doesn't want to let go so easily, and so she finds an Irish fairy who's like really into revenge, and it's the Puka, which is actually a historical folklore figure. And the Puka says, "Oh, if you become my subject, my protege, I will help curse your enemy. Just let me at her." And so she curses Zelda's bloodline to end, that will not continue with, and to have horrible luck the rest of her life. And some really horrible things start to happen. And one day, Zelda is reliving her days of dating Thomas on a park bench at the river in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And she is visited by the Puka's sister, the Grogich, which is also a historical folklore figure in Irish mythology. And the Grogich is more interested in trying to help people with blessings. And she often is in competition with her sister, who keeps cursing people. So she volunteers to give Zelda a 25-year blessing. And that's sort of the beginning of their cursed and blessed family life.
Mm-hmm.
Next
and so Zelda has a daughter
named, help me with this.
I just always think of her as mom, because that's what Rupert refers to her as.
It is. Boy,
Why don't we
bad.
contact the author, find out if he knows?
Yeah. Shoot, my memory's been getting horrible. Carolyn.
Yes.
Yes.
That's fine.
So Carolyn is a hippie back in San Francisco during the Summer of Love. In the 1968, she goes home to have her baby. Her husband says he's going to come meet with her once the baby is born. And at that point, the Grogich visits again and says, "When your baby is born, let me bless him. It's the only way I can extend the blessing, because I can't bless you again, Zelda. I have to bless someone else in your family, and hopefully that will rub off a little bit on you."
Can I interject a sidebar here? Because I just read this. What she does is she proposes Caroline a choice. Do you want me to bless you or your child?
Well, yes, that's the choice. Yes. And she chooses to bless the boy, to make his poor little life a bit easier. And that has some consequences, as you read, when he gets to be 25 and his blessing runs out, theoretically.
So one of the themes that I love about this, and I love when it appears because it's so cosmic, is that it's really, these entities playing with mortals. I mean, as toys. We saw it in Oh God, You Devil with George Burns and George Burns. But a lot of the books that I've read that deal with mythology often show the gods around a chessboard to represent Earth, moving their mortals around as pawns.
Mm-hmm.
And you've tapped into that feeling, or did you intentionally tap into that feeling of these supernatural entities playing with their mortals?
Well, I guess I look at it more from the standpoint of, we don't actually know what the intention of gods are, or fairies in this case, beyond what they seem to be doing. And so it's just sort of a symbol for our luck in life, when we have good luck, when we have bad luck, and trying to navigate all the changes in our life and trying to adapt.
Okay. How deep into the research of fairy blessings and curses did you have to go to write this?
Well, I found out that the Grogich likes to be paid in cream, that the Puka wants devotees, and you'll see a scene later in the book that you haven't gotten to yet, where shows how Patricia is paying homage to the Puka.
All right.
Anyway, so that level, yes.
Okay. Do you draw a line between magical realism and urban fantasy as genres, or do you sort of blend them?
Well, I think my first impulse in writing this book was to try to write magical realism.
Okay.
And my understanding of that from the classical definition was that it's our time and our world, but with just one magical element
Okay.
that characters take for granted, and that the themes of the book are usually about colonialism, traditionally, as it was done in Latin America. And I just thought, well, if I could open up the themes at least, I can do the rest of it. And what I found was that it ended up being very close to the definition of urban fantasy. So I think there's a lot of overlap. I think a lot of purists want to keep magical realism just to that Latin American impulse, but I think there's room for us to sort of explore that a little bit more in American culture as well, North
Nice.
American culture.
Nice. So can I ask what the inspiration was to give Rupert a new power on his birthday every year?
Um, well,
Childhood Rupert, I should say.
okay. So I don't know if I mentioned, but my birthday is on Christmas morning.
You did not.
Okay. So I gave Rupert the same birthday. And part of the problem with having a Christmas birthday is that it gets a little bit sidelined.
Yeah, I would
Because there are
think.
other things going on.
Sure can.
So I used to have this thing when I was growing up where I would count how many hours went by before people realized it was my birthday. Happy birthday. So part of the impulse was to make Christmas morning birthday into a special thing. So something special was happening and miraculous was happening every Christmas morning. And so that's why in one so young as Rupert, when he was blessed, he gets a little bit more oomph to his blessing.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I have a family member whose birthday is within a week of Christmas, and we work really hard to separate those.
It's nice of you to do that.
All right. So the other thing that I noticed in when you signed up is that you had mentioned that it wasn't about graphic sex scenes. Have you gotten any blowback on that?
Not yet. It's a very new book, so I've had very few reviews.
Okay.
I think when I look
Leave
into the
reviews for the book. Leave reviews for the book.
yes, it's
I'm
like
doing my part, okay?
thank you, much appreciated. Yeah, I think one of the hardest things to do now is to get publicity for books as they're coming out, because there are just so many books that are coming out.
Mhm.
Finding places like the Rope podcast that have spotlight, especially on books by LGBT people, that's wonderful, and I really appreciate it. So I'm taking advantage.
There you go. There you go.
But as far as the graphic sex, I think part of it was I knew that my mother was going to be reading this, and
Fair.
I think that's part of it. But also, I think, in fairness, Vince, I think partly also I look online in the social media for writers and readers, and I see this whole idea of cozy getting very, very popular. And I'm
Right.
thinking about, well, I want to have enough there for the people that want a little spice, but not
Mhm.
so much that it's gonna,
Right.
freak out the cozy people.
Right.
Right.
So
And
thread that needle.
right. And I'm glad you said that because I should have clarified my statements. It's not that you avoided romance, because even early on, there's that teenage over the clothes fumble
Hmm.
with he and his friend.
Hmm.
But again, it didn't go anywhere. It was
Hmm.
just the acknowledgement of the emotion and the feelings that they had for each other.
Hmm.
Perfect. All right. Bez, do you have any questions?
No, I just think I want to title this episode the Wisconsin episode because my dad was born in Tomahawk. So,
Tomahawk,
yeah, so there is a
way up in
Northern
the
connection.
boy.
woods. Oh.
Yep,
Yes.
yep. Oh, yeah. He was a native kid, so,
Cool. I've been to Tomahawk. My family had
I'm sorry.
that's okay.
It's a
It was fine. It was one of the bigger cities we went to when we were at our cabin up in Shawano,
mm,
or Shawano, we say
Shawno,
sometimes.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, is there anything about the novel you want folks to know that I didn't think to ask because I haven't gotten all the way through it yet?
Well, one of the things about it is uh, each chapter is sort of like a vignette in a way.
Mhm.
It's part of his life. It does continue a story. It's sort of more like a TV show in that respect. So I think people will recognize that there's a through line between the chapters, but a lot of it is he's just dealing with the new thing that he's doing this year. He's invisible, okay, or he knows every language in the world, or everybody laughs at him whenever he says, no matter if it's funny or not, things like that happen to him. And he has to deal with that. And I try to make it interesting also that he's entangled with world events as an adult as well. He's a major figure in the uh, defense, the right to marry,
Okay.
right to marry. He participates in that. And he's also very integral in the investigation of 9/11. And as he gets into his work as an international spy, he's also very pivotal in certain CIA efforts to change the political landscape in various countries in Asia and the Middle East.
Nice. Very nice.
And I
All
do
right.
actually use the actual events of assassinated leaders and coups and uh, things like that.
I love it. All right. Are you ready for our get to know you questions?
Go for it.
Take it away, Baz.
All right. So in this year of diving deeper, what's your favorite writing, snack, or drink?
Uh, it's kind of strange because I don't usually have anything to eat or drink while I'm writing because I'm so involved in the process that I will usually let something get cold or warm, depending on how it was before. Um, I can only say that sometimes I'll have like some honey toast or a smoothie or something with me when I'm writing. But beyond that, I don't want to try to get anything that's going to interrupt my flow.
Okay, got it. All right. Well, what books did you read growing up?
I had as a subscription to Analog Science Fiction magazine when I
Yep,
was
I know
10.
it well.
Yes. And so I was reading that every month when the issues came in. Um, but I think my childhood reading was sort of like all over the place. I read things like Black Beauty. Um, when I was in high school, I read Portnoy's Complaint. Um, just a lot of very different stuff. So I guess the stuff that I enjoyed most though was science fiction.
Excellent. Okay. Who's been the biggest supporter of your writing?
Biggest supporter. My husband actually lately.
Good
He's
save. Good save.
yeah, he's read he's
The
read
longer I dragged out, I'm like, oh dear.
he's read most of my stuff, or I've read it to him in some cases, and he's very supportive. So I'd
We
say he's
could
my
tell
biggest fan.
that the air shifted in the room because he was leaning in.
No, I was trying to think. I'm like, who's my biggest fan? Oh, it has to be my husband Jesus because he knows all of it and he gives me comments. So it's
There you
great.
go.
And
Yeah.
we're working together on a screenplay as well.
Oh, well,
It's
Oh,
excellent.
nice.
it's the feature-length bilingual gay rom-com. It's called
Excellent.
Oh,
Dos Cruces.
oh, we're going to
We
circle
12,
back to that
12
in a minute.
crosses. Okay.
yeah, we'll definitely come back to that. All right. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
More of a morning person, I think. I'm usually up by 8, and I'm usually in bed by 11.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. What's your favorite hobby outside of writing?
Outside of writing. Um, Actually, it's kind of strange. My husband actually gets on my case because he doesn't think I know how to relax. But one of my other hobbies is also sort of vocational in a way. I also record and produce videos for YouTube.
Oh, okay. That's a good thing. I mean, considering we're all doing this on YouTube.
Mhm.
Yep.
Has writing or publishing a book changed the way you see yourself?
Yeah. I shaved my head and I got glasses, and I've decided to not work in pharmaceutical advertising anymore.
Uh, well, yeah, there you go. And
Yes.
then I have a burning side question. Who the
What's that?
hell names all those freaking drugs that come out? Because child, you're just playing up there with Wordle and going, "Oh, that's a good one."
It's actually a classification system, sort of like the Dewey Decimal System that goes into drug naming. So if it's, for instance, a
Well,
cancer,
I'm thinking more of the brand names. That they come up with these weird Sky Rizzy and all
like
these other,
Victarvy and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, I know, but they all have a significance to the doctors. So it's just
Okay.
something we mortals do not understand. It
Yeah,
seems right.
yeah. It's kind of like the scoring system on QI. Anyways, okay, if you were to write a spin-off about a side character in your novel, who would it be?
I don't know. I
Pick
was going
amongst your
back and
children.
forth between Rupert's husband or boyfriend, Arthur, or his stepfather, Mike. Not sure.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Have you ever traveled as research for a book?
Yes. I had expressly gone to Atlanta to investigate location for my first novel, which is called Honor the Crest. It hasn't been published yet. I'm still considering revising and releasing it, but yes, I have.
Okay,
Nice.
excellent. How do you celebrate when you finish a book?
How do I celebrate when I finish it? I do a unboxing video.
There you
Gloves.
go. That's the way to do it. Shameless plugs. We love that.
Unbox and go out to dinner.
There you go. There you go. Best way
Perfect.
to do it. Well, you made it through the list. Bravo.
All right, so you teased us with an upcoming work. Now I want to hear about it.
Which one?
Well, let's start
Screenplay.
with
I
the one
have
you're
lots
working
of
on.
things upcoming,
Yeah,
Vance,
okay, fair enough. Let's start with the one that you and Jesus are working on.
The film, yes.
Yes.
I have a screenplay. It's up on a couple of sites, Script Revolution and The Blacklist. But I'm actually still doing some revisions on it. I'm part of a writer's room here in Manhattan. And it's been going really well. Been getting some really good comments on it. The idea is that there is a handyman at the cathedral in Juarez, Mexico, who goes on vacation and meets a gringo from Albuquerque who he falls in love with, but he doesn't think he can visit him in the United States because when he was 3, he was abducted and illegally taken across the border. So he thinks he's not able to get a visa, his mother tells him. And also, he's living with his mother at 25 and he works as the handyman in a cathedral. He's a little concerned that this new boyfriend is going to think less of him when he knows how poor he is. So he has to find some way to meet him. He doesn't want to invite him back to Juarez because then he'll find out how disappointing he is. And he can't get to the United States because he has the black mark on his exit visa possibilities. So he has to figure out how to illegally cross the border to visit his boyfriend. And that's where the comedy comes in.
Gotcha.
I
have to say, as a Latino myself, it's nice that we're getting more and more of this cross-cultural, bilingual type of storytelling, because I think it's unique to America in many respects, in that the Latino culture is so predominant, and it's not just from Mexico, but it's across the Latin American spectrum. But I really like that it's become a blended thing, which makes it uniquely American in that respect. And I think it's great because it only fosters that connection, that human connection. I mean, I don't know if you and your husband saw The Secrets of the Universe with Aristotle and Dante discover secrets of the universe. Yeah, I love that the fact that it just flowed so naturally between Spanish and then the English, just because that's the way it is in Latino families, especially on this side of the border. So it's kind of nice to hear that you guys are working on something like that. I applaud it.
Yeah, I have to learn lots of Mexican slang, which is interesting.
Oh, come on. Slang is always the most colorful and fun part of any language.
That's right. That's right.
Well, it's not just slang, but I have to figure out what is like
The
Southern
context.
Mexico slang and what's
Oh,
Northern
yeah.
Mexico slang.
Yeah. Regional variations. All right. So you said there were other projects you want to announce.
Yes. I have a novel that I finished actually several years ago that my current publisher declined, and I actually have interest from another publisher. So it's called Time Bump, and it's a non-sequential gay time travel novel. And it has lots of paradoxes in it. So, for instance, the main character has seizures from the point he's 9 years old, and he eventually realizes that his seizures are abortive attempts to time travel, and he eventually goes to try to save one of his high school friends from 9/11, dying in 9/11, and he accidentally gets killed in the plaza with debris falling on him on 9/11. But at the last minute, some humanoid aliens push him out of the way and into the fourth dimension. And that's what gets him to start time traveling. So the paradox is he couldn't time travel until he already started time traveling.
Yeah, yeah. Excellent.
Wow.
I also have a short story collection called Mrs. Babbage's Home for Wayward Robots, because I realized I had a lot of short stories that featured robot characters.
I love that title.
Yeah, 8 robot short stories that I'm trying to get together. I have one more to write. And some of them have already been published in various publications. And I'm trying to put together a frame story where a reporter comes to Mrs. Babbage's Home for Wayward Robots and asks about what the mission of the home is, and gets introduced to some of the robots that are there, and the robots tell their stories of the people they used to work with before they got retired.
Very nice. Anything else?
Oh yeah, I'm working on a follow-up to The Miraculous Life of Rupert Rocket. It's another novel of the Fae that incorporates the same idea of it's in our time and in our world, but there is a instead of Irish fairies, this time it's Italian fairies, and the main character is a gay trans man instead of a gay man, and he gets entangled with the mafia, basically, which is in this case run by a bunch of Sicilian fairies.
I love that. I love that so much.
It's the book that Mario Puzo forgot to write. Yeah.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
So where is the best place for people to follow you to keep up with the updates to all these projects?
I tend to post mostly on Threads lately, but I do keep a blog with the big announcements.
Good for you not doing it on X. Bravo. I'm going to give you extra bonus points for that one.
Well, I actually quit Twitter/X a couple of years ago, right when Musk bought it. It's like I could see where this was going.
Yeah, right. Oh.
Part of it. And all these people are going, "Oh, it's gotten so horrible." And so you're just noticing that now. It's like, oh my God.
You're all 2019.
So my website is marksalzwedel.com, and there's a link there to my blog. And if you sign up for the blog, You'll get the major announcements when stories are published or when books are signed and things like that.
Perfect. And your Instagram/Threads handle is at NYC Writer Composer, if I remember correctly.
You remembered exactly right.
Yay! All right, Mark, any final words of wisdom?
To other writers, especially gay writers, sort of like, it's okay to write gay stuff. There's a huge market for gay stuff. And you're not selling yourself short by writing gay characters, because a lot of allies want to know about gay lives too. So keep writing.
Yep.
Amen. All right, well, we'd like to extend a huge thank you to Mark Salzwedel for joining us. Mark, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Vance.
Our pleasure. And we at Written on the Edge are proud to introduce you to new media by queer content creators. So if you enjoy learning about new artists or hearing our thoughts on entertainment media, please like, subscribe so you get the alerts for new episodes. The show is produced by Rogue Ravens Media. For our disclaimers, links to social media, our listen stations, or to sign up as a guest, visit www.roguepodcast.com. Tune in next week for your queer media fix.
Bye-bye now.
Oh, what's that? Closing time. The bums rush in melody, dear.